So next we have a great speaker, State Representative Kevin Kuros. He's going to come up and he wanted to speak after Mr. Pinto. State Rep Kevin Kuros.
Jared, thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So as we stand here today, I'm going to ask you to think about something. The American Revolution started less than 20 miles away from this spot when the British marched to seize American colonists' arms and ammunition. While the colonists took up arms, what I'm going to ask you to do is take a different approach. Our approach for resistance has to be activism. It has to be activism. The courage shown by our forebears, it has to be translated into political action today. Pro-gun legislators in that building are outnumbered 3-1. There's some reasons why. Let me ask you a few questions. This is the audience participation part here, okay? How many of you know who David Linsky is? Raise your hand. Okay. Second, how many of you know who Doug Grindle is?
Yep.
3.
He ran against Linsky.
That's part of the problem. In 2014, Doug Grindle, who's a strong Second Amendment advocate, ran against David Linsky for his state rep seat. It takes around $50,000 to mount a viable campaign against an incumbent. Doug Grindle raised about $10,000 for his race. He worked hard. I met and I know Doug, door-to-door warrior, but he didn't have the resources to run an effective race. Many of you have spent thousands on your firearm collection and yet have never donated to a candidate who shares your view about the Second Amendment. This is not to call anybody out for having not donated in the past, but rather to underscore the need to get involved financially, as an activist, as a phone banker, or any of those things that you can do to help get this ratio down from 3-1 against to at least 50-50 so that we've got a fighting chance in hell. So let's talk about activism just for a second. And I want to open up about myself a little bit. I think it's important. First, I grew up in a suburb of Pittsburgh. Didn't grow up in a sporting family. Nobody was anti-gun in my house, but we were just kind of agnostic on the whole thing. It was just not part of our day-to-day thing where I grew up. Yet I've always felt very strongly about the Second Amendment. Well, here's the thing. So, I'm 50, and I think about 52 years old. I got my license to carry last year at age 51.
Never too late.
Okay. Never too late, thank you. But why do I share that with you? Because there are a ton of people just like me who are 100% with you on the issue, yet somehow have managed to fly under the radar screen because we weren't gun owners, even though we believe in our heart of hearts it's an unalienable right. Again, to debate the number, I'm not sure if it's 350,000 or a million. I'm going to use 350,000. I think there are around 350,000 people in the Commonwealth who hold an LTC or an FID. And assume, for the sake of argument, that each of those 350,000 of us knows two other people that were like me prior to last year. two other people that are with us on the issues, but somehow flew under the radar screen. How do we find that out? We talk to our friends. We offer to show them our collection. We invite them to join us at a pasta dinner at the local Rod and Gun Club. We do all those things, and sure enough, that 350,000 number becomes 1 million. That's 1/6 of the state's population. A big enough number to turn elections. Think about that. Don't believe me? No better example. 2014, Mara Healey won her race for Attorney General by 487,000 votes, while outspending her opponent nearly 2-1. Krista shared the numbers. At 400,000 people at $5 a pop, that's $2 million into an Attorney General race overnight. Think that doesn't send a message? I'll wrap this up now with a call to action. And it's important because the anti-gun movement is well organized and incredibly well funded. While it's awesome that we're all here together today, rallies alone are not enough. We're here on a Sunday protesting in front of an empty State House. We need to fill that State House with people who might have been standing out here now or last July. And you don't do that just through rallies, you do that through activism. So what can you do? Remember, every politician must stand for re-election at some point. Many anti-gun legislators run without opposition. Doug Grindle ran in 14. Rep. Linsky did not have an opponent in 16. Excuse me. Even running an opponent in primary elections or general elections drains resources away from anti-gun politicians. We need to get in the game because they sure as hell are. Find local pro-gun candidates to run against anti-gun incumbents. Fund election campaigns for pro-gun candidates in your own district, outside your district. Thank you, Chris, for your support over the years.
Send them to me for vetting.
Send them to Chris. When you find those candidates, send them to Chris for vetting. First question, will you stand for roll call votes?
Exactly.
Yes, I will.
Or you don't.
And finally, make those calls when anti-gun legislation is introduced, being heard, being voted on. You might have been asked to do a form letter. Please click here and send this to your legislator. That's not enough. We get hundreds of those. They become white noise in the background. Personalize your email, send a letter, at least change the freaking subject line of the email and put a paragraph in that says why this is important to you. Okay. We need you to get involved, folks. Ultimately, and I'll close here, this is not about guns. This is about freedom. Human beings have a God-given right to defend themselves and their families and others. And sadly, we've gotten to the point where it takes activism to maintain that right. Please stay active. Thank you so much.